In the quiet town of Umudike, there lived a young man named Nonso. Everyone knew him as the smiling boy who always greeted people respectfully, helped neighbors carry loads, and never spoke back to elders. But behind that smile was a heart slowly breaking every single day. Nonso grew up believing that love meant endurance. He believed that if you stayed loyal long enough, people would eventually treat you right. So he endured insults from his uncle who constantly reminded him that he was a burden after his parents died. He endured humiliation from relatives who ate at the same table with him but spoke about him as if he was invisible. He endured betrayal from friends who only remembered him when they needed money or favors. Every morning, he woke up with hope. Every night, he slept with pain. But the hardest wound came from Oge, the woman he loved deeply. Nonso met her during his industrial training in Enugu. She was beautiful, intelligent, and ambitious. For the first time in years, Nonso felt seen. He believed she was the answer to every lonely prayer he had whispered in the dark. He sacrificed everything for her. When Oge lost her job, Nonso sold his laptop to support her. When she wanted to start a small business, he borrowed money just to help her stand again. He skipped meals to make sure she was okay. He defended her even when his friends warned him that she was taking advantage of him. But love blinded him. Slowly, Oge changed. Her calls became fewer. Her affection became colder. She started comparing him to richer men. She mocked his struggles. Sometimes she disappeared for days without explanation. Yet Nonso kept holding on. He kept telling himself, maybe if I love her harder, things will change. One evening, Nonso decided to surprise her at her apartment. He bought her favorite food and used the little money left in his account to purchase flowers. As he approached the building, he heard laughter coming from inside her room. A man's laughter. His heart froze. The door was slightly open. And there she was, sitting comfortably on another man's lap. The flowers fell from his hands. For a moment, the world became silent. Oge looked shocked, but not guilty. The man beside her simply smirked. Nonso, it's not what you think, she said nervously. But deep inside, he already knew. That night, Nonso walked endlessly through the streets like a man without a soul. The pain was unbearable. He questioned himself. He questioned God. He questioned why people always hurt the ones who loved them sincerely. When he returned home, his uncle didn't even ask why his eyes were red. Instead, he shouted at him for coming home late and called him useless once again. That was the moment something inside Nonso finally broke. For years, he had tried to survive in places that were destroying him emotionally. He stayed around people who constantly drained his peace, insulted his worth, and wounded his spirit. Yet he kept hoping they would change. But some places do not heal you. Some people only reopen your wounds. A week later, Nonso made a decision that shocked everyone. He packed his clothes into one old traveling bag and left Umudike without telling anybody where he was going. He arrived in Lagos with almost nothing except pain and determination. The city was harsh. He slept in a church for 2 weeks. He worked at a mechanic workshop despite having a university degree. Sometimes he cried silently at night, wondering if he had made a mistake. But something strange began to happen. For the first time in years, nobody insulted him every morning. Nobody mocked his dreams. Nobody manipulated his kindness. The distance began to heal him. Slowly, Nonso started rebuilding himself. He learned digital skills from a friend he met online. He started doing freelance jobs. He saved money little by little. He surrounded himself with people who encouraged growth instead of pain. Months later, he looked into the mirror and barely recognized himself. The sadness in his eyes had reduced. The fear in his voice had disappeared. For the first time, he understood something powerful. You cannot heal in the same place that keeps hurting you. Healing is not just about time. Sometimes healing requires distance. Sometimes healing requires walking away from people you love. Sometimes healing means choosing yourself for once. 2 years later, Nonso had become successful. He owned a small media company in Lagos and employed several young people. One afternoon, while attending a business conference, he unexpectedly saw Oge again. She looked surprised. "Nonso?" she whispered. But this time, he didn't feel anger. He didn't feel bitterness. He simply felt peace. Because healing had already done its work. She tried to explain herself, but Nonso smiled gently and said, "I spent years trying to fix what was breaking me. I finally learned that peace is more valuable than attachment." Then he walked away calmly. Not because he hated her, but because he had finally healed. There are people watching this video right now who are carrying silent pain deep in their hearts. Some are living in environments filled with disappointment, emotional wounds, disrespect, betrayal, or constant negativity. Yet every day, they continue hoping that one day things will finally become better. And sometimes, they will. But sometimes, true healing begins the moment you choose peace over pain and growth over what keeps weighing your heart down. Protect your peace. Protect your mind. Protect your future. Never be afraid to choose the environments, relationships, and connections that help you grow, heal, and become a better version of yourself. Because your heart deserves peace. Your life deserves happiness. And your future deserves light. Always remember this powerful truth: you cannot heal in the same place that keeps hurting you. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Geraldinho Stories for more powerful emotional stories filled with deep life lessons, inspiration, and transformation. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss another meaningful story.